Hey everybody, welcome back. My name is Brandon. Today we're going to be doing another video on Bitcoin nodes. We're going to be using a Raspberry Pi, installing Raspiblitz, and we're going to be using Zues wallet app to manage our node. So you may have seen my other video on the Raspiblitz Zues overview. You can find that right up here or here. Never mind. I don't know how to do those. So anyways, I'll link that video below. But this is going to be the walkthrough on how to do that. So let's get started. Let's pull up our presentation and walk through it. Okay, great. So now we have our presentation up and I can walk through it. Here we go. So what we're going to learn, Raspiblitz, right? We kind of already talked about it before in another video, but we're just going to do a quick overview about what Raspiblitz is. We're going to talk about parts overview that we need for this build. We're going to be downloading the Raspiblitz software, flashing it to the SD card, connecting the parts, turning it on. We're going to walk through the Raspiblitz setup. Then we're going to be syncing the blockchain, and then we're going to connect our Zues app. So let's move forward. So what is Raspiblitz? Again, quick overview. This is the software. It's an open source software, which is a Bitcoin node. It runs on the Raspberry Pi 4. So it can do a Bitcoin node. We can also set up a Lightning node, set up channels, and use Lightning payments. And we're going to go through that as well. So this uses Tor. We can use the onion routing network to secure our network traffic. We're also the different apps available, similar to the other software Umbrel. We're going to be able to set up a Lightning network. We're also going to be able to set up a BTC Pay server. Those are just a couple of them. And then we have different wallet integrations such as Zues app, and there's also the Spectre wallet integration. So we're going to go over the parts overview. I'll pan down and show you the parts that I have here. Great, so here's the parts overview. I've got all of these parts purchased from Amazon, and I'll link these parts down below in the details of the video. And so what you can see, we're starting off with the Raspberry Pi. I think this currently priced on Amazon is around $140. It's more expensive than normal because of supply issues, but this is the price of this. We got a power supply from Raspberry Pi. Recommend the documents recommend getting the name brand one, so that's really important. Some of the other knockoff versions of the power supply aren't very reliable. So stick with the name brand one. This was like $10 or so. We have the 1 terabyte SSD here. This is the one they recommend. It's just SanDisk. It's a 1 terabyte SSD. This is the case. They specifically mentioned this U-Green case. I like it. It's worked really well. And then we also have the micro SD card. They recommend this one here. This is this endurance model. So you can use other ones, but probably a good idea to go with the recommended one for this endurance one so that it has a little bit more life without crashing. This is the heatsink case, one of the ones that they recommended. I went with a silver color. And then this is the LCD screen that I purchased, 3.5 inch Raspberry Pi LCD, and we're gonna hopefully get that up and running and see how that works. So we'll go ahead and move forward. So moving forward with this walkthrough, I'm gonna go ahead and assemble this offline. Takes a minute or two to kind of put all the pieces together, put the Pi together, put the case on it, install the LCD, and maybe I can make a video out of how to do that, but right now I'll go ahead and do this offline, and we'll come back when that's all assembled and ready to go. Hey guys, we're back. We built our Raspberry Blitz. I moved my camera up top right corner and we are ready to move on. So we put that together. We put the LCD screen on the Raspberry Blitz. We put the SSD in the enclosure and we put the case around the Raspberry Blitz. So we can move on with next steps. So next steps are going to be to download Raspberry Blitz, download the software. So here is the address to the GitHub to where you can download it. There's a few different ways you can do it. You can do legit pro way and you can build the source code yourself, or you can do it the easier way, less secure way by downloading the precompiled version. So I'm going to go ahead and download the version 1.72. Moving over to the GitHub site, it is quite a long page. You first starts and it goes to here, and we can come down and find our download. So I'll just scroll down to find where we're at. Here's a quick blurb. Here's a deep dive video done by the team and Bitcoin Magazine. So you can check that out while you're on here. And here we're at the section of downloading the software. Like I said, here we're on this site. We're going to go ahead and download 1.72 image. Clicking there and it runs there at the bottom. This is a 2 GB file and it says 4 minutes. I'll let that download. Okay, finished downloading that 2 GB file. We can move on to the next step. So next step is going to be flashing that image to the SD card. We're going to be using the Balena etcher, and we're going to be using that software to load that onto the SD card. So let me pull that up and show you how to do that. Alright, great. So I've got Balena etcher downloaded and installed, and I've ran it, and now it pops up with this screen. I'm going to go ahead and choose the file that we just downloaded. So clicking over here. Okay, so clicking flash from file, I'll go and find my Raspberry Blitz. So that's actually going to be this one. Selecting a target. So now I'll go ahead and install my SD card. I put it in my adapter and I'll slide that into my computer. So pop that in. And it automatically selected that SD card. This is a 32 GB SanDisk Pro Endurance. So I'll click flash. So what happens is it pops up with a Windows user authentication prompt, and you'll hit yes to that. And now it's going to begin the flashing process. So that's putting that 2 GB image file onto our SD card, which we'll then put into our Raspberry Pi. So I'm going to pause while that finishes. Okay guys, we're back and I have finished flashing the image to the SD card. So we can go ahead and move forward. So we'll go ahead and remove this and move on to the next step. So connect the parts and turn on. So that's going to be, we'll pan down and I'll zoom in and we can see exactly what we're doing with the parts. Okay guys, now we got our parts here. So we're going to go ahead and start with the SD card, taking it out of the adapter. This to the side, come over here to this side, and so the way they insert this, it's going in right here, but these gold teeth are going to be facing up. So the label and the words are facing down, the gold teeth are facing up. It slides into here and it just fits in. It doesn't click in at all, it just slides into, so there's just about a little bit of it hanging out the side. So unwind this cord. You know what, might be able to get away with just leaving it in here. Anyway, so we have two ports. These are the USB 3.0, those are the blue, and that's where we want to be going into. So to get the most speed, right into there. So we got this and this set up just like this, and then we have our power cord. We're going to go ahead and insert our Ethernet cord, which is maybe one of the requirements I should have mentioned in the beginning, but we're going to be using this directly connected, so let me grab that. Okay, great. I've got my Ethernet cord. I'm going to plug in just to the side over here. The tab goes down, clicks into place as such. So Raspberry Pi is coming along. Next is going to be the power. So we've got our SD card in, we've got our hard drive connected, and we have our Ethernet cable connected as well. So we'll go ahead and bring in this power cord plugged into the wall already, and this guy is going to be going into right here. So click him on and we'll see what happens. Power is inserted and on. See, we got a light on the SSD. We also have a light on this backside, the Ethernet, and I believe we get some lights over here as well. So cool. We've got our LCD. Looks like it's got a connection. It's showing. And let's see what it does. It runs through here for a second. Really should have been making this larger from the start, so sorry about that, but you can go ahead and get a little bit more detailed. Again, this is running through the initial stages of the Raspiblitz. Takes a few seconds here, and there we go. We got a cool Raspiblitz lightning bolt logo, starting Raspiblitz. It's checking the hard drive. It's looking to see if there's any blockchain data on there already. This is a brand new SSD. This is no data on it, so it's going to be checking to reformat that. Going through this one more time. So it did one more reboot. Let's see how it goes. Running through the same thing. It gives us a new, different logo. That's fun. And it's starting up. Great. So it looks like it did one power on and then it rebooted, and now it came up to a setup screen. So here we are with the Raspberry Blitz. The LCD screen is telling us to go to this IP address, and from there it has a default password of Raspiblitz. So from now we'll switch over to that screen and set up the rest of this config. So we got our parts together, we've plugged it in, we've turned it on, we've got to a setup screen, and now we're going to be logging into it with PuTTY. This is our SSH tool that we're going to be using. The LCD screen thankfully shows us the IP address we're connecting to. If you don't know it, you can, for some reason you can't see it, or you're not using an LCD, you can use this Angry IP scanner or another tool, maybe looking on your router to find the IP address. So I'll pull up the PuTTY terminal and log into it. Okay, great. So I use the PuTTY program. It's a free program online. I'm not going to go through the process of downloading that and showing how to set it up, but you're going to be logging in as the admin and the IP address, and then we're going to be typing in the password, which is Raspiblitz. Enter. Let's try it again over here. Raspiblitz. Great. And here we are on the initial setup screen. So what are we going to be doing most of the time? And in this particular walkthrough, we're going to be doing a fresh setup. So you also can be migrating, or there's an option to shut down. So we're going to be doing fresh setup. So your data drive will get formatted. So again, this is a brand new drive for us, so we're not too worried about any data on it. If you're reusing an SSD, you really want to make sure that you have any important documents and any files off of there and saved. So option to stop setup or delete the data, and I'm going to be deleting anything that's on that SSD. And we can watch this go through its commands. Again, this is using basic Linux commands to go in and format the SSD. It's going to be using the ext4 partition type. And come in here soon. Cool. So I formatted the hard drive, and now the next step is to give the name of this Raspiblitz. So this is a name. I believe that this is also going to be our node name. So this is going to be kind of important. I'm not sure if you can change it later on. I need to follow up on that. But if you're doing this walkthrough for the very first time, it's a good idea just to do tests and just do, just to do all the steps and then redo it again. So in this case, I'm going to be doing test node 1. And I'm going to be hitting OK or enter. Choose your Lightning client. Lightning Daemon, LND, is the default, and it's been around the longest. The C Lightning is a little bit newer from Blockstream, or you can run it without Lightning, which is going to be just a basic Bitcoin node. We want to be able to use Lightning, so we're going to do the first option, the default. Lightning data and wallet. So at this point, we could be recovering an old one if we wanted to, but in this walkthrough, we're going to be doing a new Lightning wallet. So we'll hit enter. Raspiblitz goes and asks you for 3 different passwords. These passwords are used for different things. The main password, password A, is to log into your SSH. Just as every time that you want to be logging into it on the terminal or SSH, you're going to be using password A. Password B is used for other apps, and password C is for your Lightning wallet. So we'll go ahead and say OK. And at the bottom there, it shows the rules. So it's got to have 8 characters, no spaces, and only special characters. Or the special characters are the dash sign or the period. Write them down and store them in a safe place. So again, as with all kind of seed words and passwords, these are very important. They need to be stored in a secure area. Next, so password A. Let me pull up my little tool. I always like when I'm creating new nodes or creating any kind of servers or computers, I would like to open Notepad and write out my passwords first. So on my Notepad, I'm just going to write password A, and my password A is going to be capital PASSWORD, capital A. So these are basic passwords. These are not to be used in any kind of real world production environment. These are just for testing. This node will be wiped and erased once this tutorial is completed. I'm going to go ahead and write out all the passwords. So I'm going to type out password B is going to be password B. Password C is going to be password capital C. So coming back to my putty, password A, what is it? What do I want it to be? We want it to be PASSWORD A. I may have fat fingered that one. PASSWORD A. Enter. Re-enter the password. PASSWORD Shift A. Great. Password A accepted. Use this password for SSH or the web admin. So we'll hit OK. Password B. So pretty easy. PASSWORD B. PASSWORD B. Great. Password B is accepted. Password C is PASSWORD C. Enter. PASSWORD C. Enter. Great. Password C has been accepted. Going through the rest of this. Okay, running through a little bit of a setup. Setting with a blockchain. And going through its test run. And Lightning setup. I believe this might take up to 5 or 10 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and pause it and let it run through its paces. Alright guys, so we're back, and we've finished the setup, and now we've come to a screen that talks about the seed words. It shows the seed words for our node, for our Lightning wallet. So what we're going to be doing now is recording these words. So again, along with your important passwords, this could be on the same document or the same plate of steel engraved if you want, but these are going to be important that you're going to need to write down and document. So even in this test, I'm going to be writing these down because parts of the next steps of this install is where we're going to have to be verifying that we know them. So I'm going to take a quick second, type these out on my notepad, and come back. One quick note before moving on. So I'm writing these notes on a notepad on my computer. Security sake, precautions, best practice. You're going to be writing this all on paper. So the node that I have set up that's in production, these were never typed in on a computer. They were all written down by hand and then later transferred to hardware or steel. So again, writing these things down on a computer is just for tests. For production purposes, you're going to want to write these by hand on paper or another method. So just a little heads up on that. Okay, so we're back. I've recorded my words, and let's move on to see what's the next step. So hit OK. Are you sure you wrote down the word list? Yes, I did. So I'm going to continue. And, oh, okay. So it doesn't actually even require you to verify. So I thought that it did. So now here we're on the blockchain sync validation. It says full validation may take multiple days to finish. So we can do one of two things. We can self-sync, which would take, I don't know, on this Raspberry Pi 4, 5, maybe 6 days to fully sync. We do have an SSD, so that's going to help our speed, but it'll still take multiple days. Or there's the option to copy the blockchain. Copy the blockchain in security practice is slightly less secure because you're not fully validating it. In this case, I have another node online that has a secure blockchain. So what I'm going to be doing is copying the blockchain from there to this new node so that we can get up in a quicker amount of time. So let's go ahead and select copy from computer Raspiblitz over LAN. So hit next. Running through this, which system is running on the other node. So let me go ahead and get that set up. Okay guys, good morning. It's a new day for me. I had to pause the video and take care of life. So we're back here and we are at the copy blockchain. So again, possibly majority of you that don't already have a node are going to be syncing from the blockchain directly. So you're just going to be waiting patiently until that syncs. If not, you're going to go through this process. So here we have the PuTTY window open with the options, and it's asking, where are we syncing from? And I actually have another Raspiblitz on my local network, so I can go down here to Raspiblitz. It stops services, it stops the current blockchain from syncing, and it gets it set up and ready. And once it goes through this process, it'll show us some instructions on how to copy the blockchain from the other node to this node. So I paused that, and now we're back. It took about 1 to 2 minutes for it to stop the services and get to this this screen. It says old blockchain data found. So there's slightly a little bit of data, and that's because it's been trying to sync in the background up until this point. So there's just a few hours of data. So I'm gonna go ahead and say yes, delete the blockchain data now. Great. And so here's my instructions for copying from my other Raspberry Pi. So Raspberry Pi needs to have a 1.6. I'm there, I'm good. Open a fresh terminal, main menu, repair, copy source. And so it's talking about the local IP, multiple hours of transfer, but it is going to be shorter than syncing. And we'll go ahead and set that up right now. Okay, great. So on my other Raspiblitz, I've gone through and went to the main menu, repair, copy source, put in the IP address of this target, and I put in the password for this target, password A, and now it's copying. So it's going to take multiple hours. Last time I did this is around 10 hours, so right about that. So I'm going to pause the video and come back when we're all synced up and move forward with the setup. Alright guys, I am back, and the good news is my blockchain has synced successfully. So really cool is that syncing from my Raspiblitz to my new Raspiblitz, so from node to node, it only took about 4 hours, somewhere right around there. I didn't have a stopwatch on it, but it took about 4 hours to sync that blockchain. So we're all good. On my source device, it says it's finished completely. So I can check over here on my other Bitcoin node, and what it's going to do is it's going to spin it back up. So on my current node, what I can do is hold this up real quick. So 1 second. There he is. And so what I can do is just hit enter when it's done. So looking like it says data is good. One quick moment while it goes through this, I wanted to reach out and explain is that the target node that's bringing the blockchain over to this one is actually offline. So something to keep in mind is when you're copying from the target to your source, that target is offline. So something to be aware of. So my target is now back online, and my source, which is the one we're working on, my new Raspiblitz, is now coming up online. And here we go. So your Raspiblitz setup is done. Welcome node operator. Yay, smiley face. So after a reboot, it's going to go through a little bit of a waiting time before it's finally synced, because it's going to be catching up from the last blocks that it synced over. So it's safe to log out and return later. So I'll go ahead and click next and see where we go. So I clicked next, and it's going to go through a couple of reboots here and kind of come back online with that synced blockchain, and we'll see where we're at. Again, these steps maybe are skipped with someone who's syncing just over the few days. So if I'm able to, I can put some chapters into this YouTube video so you can skip ahead of this part. And we can then get right back from your 5 or 6 day blockchain sync time and sync up to where I'm at in this video. So let's take another couple seconds here. It's going to do a couple reboots. So my window that I've been kind of sharing with you is now disconnected. So I'm going to close this window. Okay, great. So I reconnected to my node, and after the reboot, it's always going to ask you for the password C to unlock the Lightning wallet. So I'll go ahead and put my password in, PASSWRDC. So this is opening up this guy, and you can see that he's still syncing. So he's got just a few more minutes. I'm going to pause this until it's completely synced up. Alright guys, back another day, still going with our Raspiblitz. So we've got our blockchain synced, and now we are at the main screen. So going to run through some of these screens real quick. The info screen, this is going to show actually what's on your LCD screen. So we're going to go through some of the basic stats. It's going to show the version, it's going to show the free memory, it's going to show your local IP address. There at the very bottom in the green is the Tor address if you wanted to connect to this from a Tor browser. And again, that Tor browser is something that you want to keep private, so that's going to be access to your Raspiblitz from any outside network using a Tor browser. Right now it's being shown because this node is going to get wiped after the video, so I'm not too concerned about it. So to get back to the main menu, just hit X. So here's your wallet options, your Lightning wallet. This is where you're going to fund your wallet. This is where you're going to send layer 1 Bitcoin to. So then this is where you can connect to peers. You can actually pay and send invoices from this SSH putty terminal. You can show your balances and a couple other things here with the Lightning stuff. So what I'm going to do is go back to main menu and go down to settings and just go over some of the things. You can enable the touch screen if you have a touchscreen LCD. You could rotate the screen if you wanted to turn it around. Here you can disable Tor, so you can just run it over HTTPS if you'd like. Couple other options. Some of the other things in here I haven't played around with, but there's the ability to set up Lightning channels automatically using the autopilot. And here you can come down here and back up your static channel backup. So good idea to do this once you start having some liquidity in your channels. And we will go back to cancel services. So here you can set up some additional services on top of your Raspiblitz. One of the ones is the BTC Pay server is a big one. Setting up a Spectre desktop connection is another cool one that I'll be doing a video soon on. You can download the Bitcoin white paper. I'll just enable that by clicking the space bar. What that does is that downloads the actual PDF document of the Bitcoin white paper to your node, and then you can go and pull it off and have it for fun reading. You can do a couple other things, including ride the Lightning web interface. We'll go ahead and select that as well. There's the Thunder Hub you can use if you'd like, and a few others. So we'll go ahead and say OK. And what this is going to do is start doing the RTL, ride the Lightning web interface. And it's also going to set up that where it's going to download the BTC white paper. So give this a second here. This is kind of added on to our video, but this is what you're going to use to get an initial web interface for your Raspiblitz. Not completely necessary, so I might not go into it too much, but boom, 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 it runs through it. Might pause this here just to see how long. It shouldn't take more than a few minutes. Yeah, I'll pause and come back. Okay, so we're back. That RTL Ride the Lightning install took about 5, maybe 8 minutes, and it got to a point where it almost looked like it was frozen. Took a little while longer than I thought, but then it eventually came through. So once it gets done, it comes up and presents you with the screen with the addresses for you to connect into it. We're using Tor, so here is the address there below. So if you copy that below address, all the way from, so the very bottom left, it starts with the KJI. So you copy that from all the way to the end of the .onion, and you can then paste that into a Tor browser. So paste that into a Tor browser. I'll go ahead and pop that up and kind of give you a quick overview of what that looks like. So here's a Tor browser. I entered the address up in the browser window. It takes a few seconds for it to resolve, but then it pops up and gives me this web interface for accessing my Lightning options on my Raspiblitz. So here you can enter your password. This is going to be the password B, as it mentioned earlier. So I'll go ahead and do that right now. And pops up, and this is going to be a web interface for accessing your node. And it gives you some basic overview. This is the dashboard. You can come in here, and it's a little bit easier to send on-chain funds to your node via this way. You can sit here and generate address, pops up the QR code, and you can send on-chain funds this way to then start your lightning channels. I'll be doing a different video on how to get that started and set up. But this was just kind of a side jaunt that I started doing in this video, and just kind of wanted to give you a little bit of an overview of what it looks like using this web interface. So again, just a reminder, this address here is something that you want to keep private and not share, because it's direct access into your node. You just need that password. So something to keep private on anything that's production. So we'll go ahead and move forward, getting back into some of the other Raspberry Blitz options. So we can come down here and get rid of this new, there we go. So again, this is the screen showing you the different addresses. Actually, if you have a LCD screen correctly set up on the Raspberry Blitz, it's actually showing me a QR code actually on the LCD screen right now. So what I could do with that is I can take my phone that has a Tor browser, use the camera, select the QR code, get that address, and access it via Tor browser on my mobile. So here, these are just the options, and then we can just hit OK. OK will bring us back to, so we did the RTL, and we also selected install a Bitcoin white paper. So this gives us a little brief overview of what that actually does. It downloads the wallpaper, and this is the location. It puts it in home admin bitcoin.pdf. And so from the user, you can view the file. So we might get to that later. So that's pretty cool. So we'll set that aside for now. Okay, cool. I hit OK, and now we're back at the main screen. So from here, I don't know, let's see what else we wanted to check out. Additional apps and services. This is what we did. We selected it with the space bar. Like you can see, you can space to select BTC Electrum Rust or undo it. So we'll go cancel. Monitoring and configuration. So you can come in here and see different logs. Here we can change passwords. Connect. So here we can connect to mobile wallet, and we'll get to that shortly. And back to the main screen. These are repair options. So I think I did this on my source. So we did here on my other Raspberry Blitz, I went over here to copy source. And so that on my target, on my source Raspberry Blitz, this is where I was copying from. So if I set up a new Raspberry Blitz right now, I'd want to come in here, I want to copy source. And so my new Raspberry Blitz would be connecting to this one to grab the blockchain. So we'll cancel, we're not going to do that right now. And you can reboot it, and you can just power it off for now. So what we're going to do is we can go ahead and set this aside and go ahead and start working on our Zues wallet. One more thing to show before moving on to the wallet is here in this main screen, we can go down to, can tab over to the right or just arrow over to the right and go to exit. And so this exit the main Raspberry Blitz. So from here, I'm at the basic command line of my Raspberry Blitz, and you can do common Linux commands to get around. I think one thing to note is, you know, if you're not a Linux pro, or if you don't know what you're doing in Linux, it mentions this little blurb here, here be dragons, just be careful. So to get back to the main screen, just typing Raspberry Blitz, and we're back here. Cool. So now we'll move on to pairing our Zues wallet. Okay, here in this last part of the video, we're going to connect our Raspberry Blitz to our mobile app, Zues. So here in the main screen, what we can do is we can go down to Connect Apps and Show Credentials. Here we have the mobile screen, so we can connect mobile. So click Connect Mobile. And here's a few options for mobile wallets. So we have Zues iOS and Android. We have Zap iOS and Android, Sphinx, and a couple other ones. Fully Noted is another option. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be doing Zues on Android. So hit enter on this. So what we're going to be doing is, first we're going to be downloading the Zues app on Android Store. So I've already gone ahead and done that on my phone, and I've downloaded the Zues app. So this is what it asks you to do. It asks you to search for Zues LN, and it says check that the logo looks the same. So actually on my, I'll pan down to it now actually and show you what this looks like. Okay, cool. So this is the logo, the Zeus logo. Just try to find the correct app, right? We're not trying to download any weird apps. So this is the Zeus Lightning Bolt logo. Find that app and install it. And so, like I mentioned above, I have the app on my phone. This is my Android phone. And once we open the app, it looks like this. We are going to pull up our PuTTY window and kind of move along kind of side by side with it. So you can actually look for the store link, or we can just hit continue. So going through a couple things, and we'll see what the next steps are. Cool. So popping up saying QR code on the Blitz. So you can see it has a QR code here displayed on my Blitz. Start the wallet and scan the QR code. So we're gonna go ahead and say get started. And just wanted to see a couple things. Yep. So what we're gonna be doing is we're gonna be doing connecting a node. So it says no nodes right now. We're gonna hit the plus button in the top. And what we can do is we can scroll all the way down here, and we're gonna be using Tor, so we're gonna be enabling Tor, and we're gonna be doing slightly down here. We're gonna be scanning the LND config, connect config. So what we can do is click here, and now it pops up with a LCD. So we can go ahead and scan. Boom. Right, so now that auto-populated all of our information here. One thing that it didn't do yet is create a name for my node. So we're just going to be writing test node ODE test node. We're going to say come all the way down here, say done on my keyboard, and then we're going to say save config. Just 1 second, it kind of looks like it's all scary and red. That's because it was something else on my side. I just need to restart this. And so now it's connecting to that new node that or connected to our node that we just created. Here on the PuTTY window, we can show that it can use a console QR code, so I can hit enter here. I'll just do that. Yep. So what you're going to need to do for this is make the screen much larger, resize the PuTTY so it actually shows the QR correctly. I'll hit enter to go back, and now we're back here. My phone died. Cool. So it did connect. So this is kind of the basic features here of our phone. It shows it did connect successfully. We've got 0 lightning and 0 on-chain data. We can come up here and click on this Zeus guy. And so this is my node. This is the test node. It comes up with a random icon for it. We can click on it again, and it says that it is active. Click on it one more time. And what it's doing is kind of pulling the settings for that node and just kind of going to display what it actually has for it. So I actually clicked the wrong button, and what I was doing is I was clicking on this side. If you click on the little arrow next to your node, and then you click on the gear next to your node, and then this is showing the settings that we did earlier. So we can go back, and these are some of the other settings that you can get into with playing with the Zues app. Coming back here, so I'm going to do another video on actually how to use all the features of Zues Wallet, but some of the things you can do, like I mentioned, is you can click down here and you can show that there's 0 channels, and you can actually create channels and add different amounts of sats to each channel side, and some pretty cool things. So going back to, this is the home button, again showing 0 sats in both Lightning and on-chain. Alright guys, so that's really going to wrap up the video. Again, what we talked about is we went over what Raspiblitz is, we did a parts overview, we downloaded the Raspiblitz software, we flashed it to our SD card, popped it into our Raspiblitz, we plugged it all in, booted up, and went through the setup process. We created 3 different passwords, we wrote down our seed phrase, and then we moved on to some of the different settings showing the home screen and different options. We installed RTO, we installed that Bitcoin white paper, and then we went into our Zues wallet. So we showed how to connect our Zues wallet, our mobile app, to our Raspiblitz. That's a lot. This video was slightly long, so hopefully you didn't get lost or bored along the way. And with that, I hope you guys learned something. Please, if you have any questions, reach out via the comments below. Hopefully I'll have some other way of contacting me in the future. I am on Twitter. You can find me handle at chemicalb113, and yeah, I'd love to help you guys out more videos coming soon, and I'll talk to you soon.